Would you stay silent? Or let revenge speak for you? Welcome to the stories on Shattered Vengeance. Step into a world where love turns dangerous, revenge feels inevitable, and every story drags you deeper into the shadows of desire, betrayal, and the human heart. Let's begin today's story. The email arrived at 11:47 p.m. on Tuesday while I was reviewing contracts for a client acquisition in my Manhattan office. Subject line: Congratulations on listing your Hamptons property. I didn't have a listing. I hadn't contacted any realtors. But attached to the email was a glossy PDF. My beach house in the Hamptons, photographed professionally, listed at $6.8 million. Stunning oceanfront estate. Motivated sellers. Immediate showings available. My phone rang. My real estate attorney, David Park, calling from his home number. Sophia, did you authorize a listing for your Hamptons property? No. I just saw it. What's happening? Your father called me this afternoon asking about closing procedures for a $6.8 million sale. Said you'd listed the house through Coastal Elite Realty and wanted to expedite the transaction. I told him I'd need your direct authorization and he hung up. My stomach dropped. He's selling my house without permission. Appears that way. I'm pulling the listing details now. Jesus. Sophia, they've scheduled showings for tomorrow. First one's at 10 a.m. I grabbed my keys. I'm driving out there tonight. Meet me at the property at 9 a.m. with whatever documentation we need to stop this. I'll bring the fraud complaint forms too. This is criminal, Sophia. The drive to the Hamptons took 3 hours. I arrived at my beach house at 2:30 a.m. to find a lockbox on the front door and a Coastal Elite Realty sign planted in my lawn. My house. That I'd purchased 2 years ago for $4.9 million, cash from my earnings as a senior partner at a Manhattan law firm specializing in corporate mergers. The deed was solely in my name. No co-owners. No ambiguity. But my family had given me keys as a housewarming gift and said, "We'll use it as the family beach house." Apparently they'd interpreted that as ownership. I let myself in. My key still worked at least and found evidence of recent staging. Furniture rearranged, fresh flowers on tables, my personal photos removed and replaced with generic coastal art. They'd staged my home for sale like I was already gone. My phone buzzed. A text from my brother Marcus. Dad told us about selling the beach house. My share is $2.3 million, right? I'm putting a deposit on that boat I showed you. My sister Jennifer. Can you transfer my portion directly? I found an investment property in Miami. Need to move fast. Dad, morning sweetheart. The realtor says we could get offers by the weekend if we price it right. Exciting times. They divided up my money. Planned their purchases. Spent millions that didn't belong to them. I didn't respond. Just waited for morning. David arrived at 8:47 a.m. with a briefcase full of legal documents and the county deed records showing my sole ownership. At 9:15 a silver Lexus pulled up. A woman in her 50s emerged, perfectly coiffed, radiating expensive real estate agent energy. "Good morning," she called out cheerfully. "I'm Barbara Chen from Coastal Elite Realty. You must be early for the 10 a.m. showing. I'm Sophia Grant. I own this property. And it's not for sale." Barbara's smile didn't waver. "Oh, there must be some confusion. Your father, Robert Grant, engaged our services last week. We have a signed listing agreement." David stepped forward. "I'm Miss Grant's real estate attorney. Can I see that listing agreement?" Barbara pulled it from her folder, confident. Fully executed. 6-month exclusive listing at $6.8 million. Standard commission structure. David scanned it then showed it to me. My father's signature was on every page. Except one problem. "This says Robert Grant is the property owner," David said. "He's not. Sophia Grant is the sole owner as shown in the county deed records." He handed Barbara the deed documentation. Her confident expression cracked. "Mr. Grant said he owned the property. He provided identification. His identification proves who he is. Not what he owns." David pulled out more documents. "This is fraud, Ms. Chen. You listed property without verifying ownership. You collected a deposit from the owners." "A deposit?" I interrupted. "Standard practice," Barbara said weakly. Mr. Grant paid $5,000 to engage our services. $5,000 of my money, I said. Did you verify he had the right to spend it? He presented himself as the owner. I had no reason to doubt. You had every reason to verify, David said sharply. Basic due diligence requires checking the deed of record before listing any property. You didn't do that. A BMW pulled into the driveway. My parents emerged, Dad looking confident, Mom carrying a container of cookies. Barbara. Dad called out. Sorry we're late. Traffic on the... He stopped dead when he saw me. Sophia. What are you doing here? It's my house, Dad. Where else would I be? Well, yes, but the showing's at 10. We were going to handle it. No need for you to drive all the way out. You're selling my house without permission. Don't be dramatic. It's the family beach house. We all use it. This sale benefits everyone. He turned to Barbara. This is my daughter. She's just surprised we moved so quickly. Everything's fine. Everything's not fine, David said. Mr. Grant, you don't own this property. You have no legal authority to list it or sell it. What you've done is attempted real estate fraud. Fraud. Mom's voice climbed. We're not committing fraud. We're family. Robert has every right to manage family assets. This isn't a family asset, I said quietly. It's my asset. I purchased this house with my money. I'm the sole owner on the deed. You've attempted to sell property you don't own. Another car pulled up. A couple in their 40s, clearly affluent, clearly here for the showing. Is this the 10 a.m. appointment? The man asked Barbara. Barbara looked like she might cry. I'm so sorry, Mr. and Mrs. Patterson. There's been a terrible mistake. The property isn't actually for sale. Not for sale. Mrs. Patterson frowned. We flew in from Connecticut. Your email said motivated sellers, immediate availability. The sellers don't own the property, David explained. The actual owner, Ms. Grant here, never authorized this listing. It's fraud. Mr. Patterson's expression hardened. We've wasted time and money on a fraudulent listing? You can file a complaint with the Real Estate Commission, David offered. And potentially sue Coastal Elite Realty for damages. The Pattersons left, Mr. Patterson already on the phone with what sounded like his attorney. Barbara turned on my father, her professional composure completely shattered. You told me you owned this property. You signed documents stating you were the legal owner. I am the owner. Morally, ethically, we're family, we all own it. Legally, you own nothing, David said. And legally is all that matters. You've committed fraud, Mr. Grant. You've caused Miss Chin here to commit fraud. You've wasted potential buyers' time. You've forged ownership documents. I didn't forge anything. I signed my own name to documents claiming you owned property you don't own. That's fraud. My phone buzzed. A message from Marcus. What's going on? Barbara just called saying the listing is canceled. Dad said the house was definitely selling. Then Jennifer. Sophia, please tell me this is a misunderstanding. I already committed to the Miami property based on my share of the beach house sale. You told them the sale was guaranteed? I asked Dad. Well, yes. Barbara said we'd likely have offers this weekend. The children needed to know their shares so they could plan. Their shares of my house. Our house. The family house. Sophia, you're being incredibly selfish about this. Barbara's phone rang. She answered, listened, and her face went even paler. Sir, I understand. She's here now. I'll inform her immediately. She hung up, looking at me with something like terror. That was the Real Estate Commission. They've received a complaint about this listing. They're investigating. They want to interview all parties involved. A complaint from whom? Mom asked. From me, David said. I filed it this morning. Fraudulent listing, failure to verify ownership, misrepresentation to potential buyers. Standard procedure when realtors don't do their due diligence. This will ruin me, Barbara whispered. 23 years in real estate. Never a single complaint. And now this. You listed a $6.8 million property without checking who owned it, I said. What did you think would happen? Your father was so convincing. He had the keys, knew every detail about the house, talked about family history here. Convincing isn't the same as legal authority. The Real Estate Commission investigation took 2 weeks. During that time, Barbara's license was suspended. My parents were interviewed 3 times. Marcus and Jennifer, who'd both committed to purchases based on fictional money, scrambled to back out of their deals. The final report was damning. Robert Grant knowingly misrepresented ownership of property at 847 Ocean Drive. Barbara Chin of Coastal Elite Realty failed to perform basic due diligence. Both parties contributed to an attempted fraudulent real estate transaction. Barbara's license was suspended for 6 months. She was required to complete ethics training and could only practice under supervision for 2 years after reinstatement. My father faced civil fraud charges. The settlement required him to pay Barbara's lost commissions, approximately $204,000 based on the $6.8 million listing, and legal fees. $200,000. Dad called me, his voice breaking. Sophia, I don't have that kind of money. I'll have to sell the house, liquidate retirement accounts. You tried to sell my $6.8 million property without asking. You forged ownership documents. You convinced your children to commit to purchases based on money that wasn't yours. What did you expect? I expected family loyalty. I expected you to understand we all benefit when we work together. Working together requires asking permission. You didn't ask. You just took. Can you help with the settlement? A loan or... No. Sophia, please. You tried to steal my house. You're facing consequences. That's how the world works. I hung up. Marcus called next. The boat deposit was non-refundable. I lost $150,000 because Dad said my share was guaranteed. Can you cover it? No. But it's Dad's fault. Then sue Dad. Not my problem. Jennifer tried a different approach. Sophia, I know we screwed up. But can't we at least use the beach house this summer? Like before. No. I've changed the locks. The family beach house era is over. You're punishing us forever over one mistake? You tried to sell my house. That's not a mistake. That's attempted theft. Mom sent a letter. Handwritten, tearful. We never meant to hurt you. We thought family property was shared property. We didn't understand the legal boundaries. Please, can we find a way forward? I kept the letter. But I didn't respond. The beach house is still mine. All mine. I've had the locks changed, the security system upgraded, and a property manager hired to handle everything. My family doesn't have keys anymore. They don't have access. They don't have shares of a fictional sale. 6 months later, Barbara Chin called. Miss Grant, I've completed my ethics training. I'm allowed to practice again under supervision. I wanted to apologize directly. What I did was inexcusable. I should have verified ownership. I let your father's confidence override my professional judgment. Yes, you should have. I've lost clients' reputation, months of income. But I learned something important. Never assume. Always verify. Especially with family transactions, they're often the most complicated. Good lesson. Expensive way to learn it. Very expensive. She paused. If you ever do decide to sell that property, I'd be honored to list it. Properly this time. With actual owner authorization. I almost laughed. You want to work with me after this disaster? I want to make it right. And honestly, I'm probably the only realtor who'll never make this mistake with your property again. He had a point. I'll keep that in mind, I said. I haven't sold the house. Won't sell it. It's mine, purchased with my money, existing under my sole ownership. The family that tried to sell it learned an expensive lesson about property law. The realtor who didn't verify ownership lost her license temporarily and her reputation permanently. And the real estate commission made sure everyone involved understood that family property isn't a legal concept. Only ownership matters. And I own it. All of it. No family vote required. No sharing the proceeds. No motivated sellers. Just me, my deed, and the ocean that's been there all along. Unchanged by their fraud. Unmoved by their excuses. Just like my ownership. Permanent and unambiguous. The way it should be.